This week on the Fifth Trooper podcast.
Then an ATST with General Vice and all loaded out. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to play this listen LVO. I'm doing it for an entire day. And then the next day I was like, I'm an idiot.
Welcome to the Fifth Trooper podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper podcast, where we talk Star Wars Legion. My name is Jay Shalansky, and I am joined, as always, by Evan Bulris.
Hey, how's it going?
On today's episode, we're going to go over the Imperial Specialists that came out. We do have a couple We're Doing It Wrongs we'd like to cover. And then we'll probably talk a little bit about LVO. So first, couple of housekeeping things. Number one, for those of you who watch on YouTube or have seen us on YouTube, you'll notice that the last probably few weeks, I haven't been doing the video podcast. I'm hoping to change that by the end of February. I'm just reassessing some of how we were doing it, but then also our technology wasn't up to snuff as far as video quality. And so I need to look into that. I won't bore you with the details. But I'm hoping by the end of February, maybe March, to have that figured out. But you can still find us on YouTube. You'll just get the audio, which I feel like most people were probably just listening to the audio anyways.
Yeah, that's fair. When I listen to podcasts on YouTube, I just kind of open the video and put it in the background while I'm doing something else.
Yeah. So for now, the software we use to publish the podcast has a neat export feature, so I just export it to YouTube, and that'll work for now.
Sure.
Okay, and then the next thing, I believe next week we're going to have, because next week is LVO week, we're going to be doing a special episode with Notorious Scoundrels again, where we're going to combine both our podcasts to talk about LVO and all that. So that'll be interesting. So check that out. So that's what's going on right now. So I guess first thing we can cover today, Evan, and there's been a lot of cantankerous attitudes online about, listen, I'm just gonna be straightforward. The Notorious Scoundrels podcast last week, they had seen the leaks for the specialists. We had actually already pre-recorded our episode, and I probably wouldn't have talked about them anyways until they were officially released, like the Rebels ones were. So anyways, so they saw the leak of the Imperial Specialist cards, and I'm sure most of you know by now, but if you don't, they had made some comments about coordinated fire, it's a 3-pip commander card for Imperials. It's not tied to the commander.
It's generic for Imperials.
It's a generic card for Imperials, and it's once again 3-pip. You give out 3 orders to 3 core units. After a friendly core unit spends an aim token, another friendly unit at range 1 to 2 may gain 1 aim token. And for those of you that don't kind of get what's happening here, the Scoundrels made a point that, hey, there's a way to break this, with the comms relay, with Veers, and you can get quite a number of aim tokens.
Sure.
And, I think people online did not care for this, kind of their judgment of this call. And so here's what I would say. I'm not going to make a similar judgment or call for this. I'm going to leave that up to them because they're the experts in the numbers and stuff. I can only tell you from an everyday man's perspective how this card's going to work. I have played this card now. I have played against this card now in 3 games in total since they came out last week. I can tell you it is a very strong card. I can tell you that the most aims I saw were 6 got stacked up. And here's why this is important. So when you're stacking that many aims, even at 4, you're basically, let's say you stack 4 aims up on a Stormtrooper unit with a DLT, and you have your full unit still, so you have 5 minis in the unit. You're looking at 6 hits.
Yeah, probably.
No, not with 4 to 5 aim tokens. You just keep re-rolling until you get 5 hits. And then here's the other thing I think that people misunderstand about this too. When you use aim, it says spend an aim token to re-roll up to
2 dice.
2 dice.
Yep.
With stormtroopers, it's 3.
Yep.
So what happens here is you just spend the aim token. You go, I'm not going to re-roll because it's up to. So
Correct.
I choose 0 die.
Yeah.
So it's a good card. I'm not gonna. I don't want to get into the conversation about speculation about it being broken or not. I'll leave that up. And notorious guys know this better than I do from a broken standpoint. I can tell you it is super strong, and I don't know. We're gonna find out at LVO whether or not it's broken.
Sure. I mean, they made. We were talking to them before their cast, and then after ours, and I'm like, this like the 2-pip card.
Yeah, the pin down.
I'm like, pin down's this crazy good card out of the pack. I'm like, this is the real broken, crazy good one.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, you ding dong, it's coordinated fire. And they explained how you can get all these aim tokens. Oh, that seems pretty good. And I didn't really think about it too much because they're white die, and I've had, as a man who's played a lot of units who've shot white die, sometimes I could reroll them 100 times and just not get what I want. So I didn't really. I'm like, well, that's good. I don't know if it's going to be like insane, but from what you're saying, like it's pretty okay.
Yeah, and so I'm not saying it's unstoppable. There's ways to stop it. So here's the chain, just for everybody out there, for our listeners, because you're going to see it. So let me warn you. Basically, what's going to happen is people are going to be playing Veers. I'm going to give you the full scope of what Notorious said, and then I'll give you realistic what I've seen in the real world. So what the idea is one of your units, and we'll talk about this unit, but there's these 2 cards that also come in this specialist pack. One is called Imperial Comms Technician, and the other one is called Comms Relay. So what you do is you put an Imperial Comms Technician. He takes just a personnel spot, so your extra trooper spot. He adds. You gain a comms upgrade icon. You must equip a comms upgrade card for 10 points. And then what you do is you use the comms relay for 5 points. And this says when you would be issued an order, you may choose a friendly unit in range 1 to 2, issue an order to that chosen unit instead. So the combo is you would use coordinated fire to give it to 3 core units. One of those core units would have the comms technician. You would then use the comms relay with the comms technician to pass that order off to Veers. And then to start the combo, when it's your activation, I'm assuming at this time it's a 3-pip, so your opponent probably played a 2, maybe a 3 if you're lucky, but probably a 2 at this point.
Yeah.
And so when it's your activation, Veers uses Spotter 2 to give aim tokens out. So you would give them to 2 core units, okay? And then you start. So then when you go to the first core unit, this isn't a perfect world. They would aim. Now they have 2 aim tokens. They would fire, okay? They would spend those aim tokens to re-roll up to 3 with stormtroopers, up to 3 dice. They would then hand those 2 aim tokens off to the other unit that you gave the token with Spotter 2, with Veers. They now have 3. They now aim and fire, spend all their aim tokens. That's 4. They hand it off to another stormtrooper unit, because it's all core units that this works for. They then aim, fire, that's 5, and so on down the line until you're stacking, And then at the end of your line of core units, you would give it to, let's say, Boba Fett or an E-Web or Vader or Palpatine, whoever. You would give it to a strong unit that could utilize, ATST if you're running that. So that's the dream scenario. It's really strong. Re-rolling 3 dice on stormtroopers and 2 dice on snowtroopers is crazy good. And then here's how so there's a couple ways right now that you can kind of get around this. Change of plans with Han.
Yep.
You can also use his other card that makes you take your card back.
Yep.
His command card. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name off the top of my head. If you think of it.
Sorry about the mess?
Yes. Okay.
Or that is 0-pip.
No. Han shot first.
Okay. Yeah.
So, so sorry about the mess. Whatever. So that's one way with Han. The other way is to suppress So what you can do is make sure when it's your activation, you kind of are aware of the chain and you suppress the next unit or the first unit so that they can't aim. And then you just try to suppress each unit. It's not impossible. It's difficult if your opponent has set up their board right. The next option is you can use the Imperial one, the 2-pip called Pin Down. Because with Pin Down, it's 2 pips. You give it to 2 support or heavy units. After a friendly support or heavy unit performs an attack against a unit with a face-up order token, shuffle that token back into the order pool. So you could do that with E-webs, with bikes, with an ATST, and you could have them just
Snipers.
snipe.
Oh no, they're
no,
specialists. I'm sorry,
it's
they're
support.
specialists.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
support or
sorry.
heavy.
Bikes though.
So bikes,
ATST mortars,
bike, ATST, and the these guys.
E-webs.
So what you would do, like for instance, with the ATST, if you had General Vice with Arsenal 4, you tag that card, use this command card, and then he just hits all those core units, and then they put their order tokens away, and that slows it down.
Yeah.
I think even with some of the answers out there, you're probably looking at a couple 2 to 3 aim tokens on the stack, which I don't think is detrimental, but it still hurts. That's still that's still 3 times they can re-roll. So it's a strong card. I can't tell you if it's broken. All I can tell you is play it and just go see. We're going to find out at LVO how bad it actually is.
Yeah, I think that's a real testing ground because when I first started playing this, I was so used to X-Wing reroll rules that you can only reroll die once, and after that you can't touch it. So I never did.
Right.
I'd spend the aim, and I'm like, why do I need 2 aims? I can only reroll these blank dice anyway.
Right.
And then when I figured that out, I'm like, wow, ATSTs get a whole lot better when they have 2 aim tokens.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they'll do a card fac because they've shown they will. Like they'll rewrite a card if it's due.
So to that point, Luke Eddy, one of the creators, he was in the Discord channel. He's very active in the community.
Yeah.
Good dude. He was in the Discord channel, and he said he realizes it's strong, but he said that not to worry if they find out because what happens is they test these, right?
Sure.
But I think the community still has opportunity to come up with ideas and synergies that maybe the game testers didn't fully see when it was being played. And so he had said that he'd showed that with key positions and with rapid reinforcements, they're not afraid to errata stuff. So if it becomes a problem, they'll fix it.
Well, I'm not even really worried about that. So instead of errataing that particular card, you errata rules around it. So like maybe aim is you have to reroll 1 up to 2, like you have to reroll at least 1, or maybe they'll do you can't do the multiple aim deal, like you can't reroll dice again, because that's a real easy fix for it, right? You just you can spend them, but you can only reroll the dice once or something. So I mean, like it seems real good now, but then again, I've seen so many times people speculate on stuff and they're 100%. I remember when U-Wings came out for X-Wing and everyone's like, oh, they're gonna break the game, so nuts. No one flew one, like it was just. So it's like that big, right, gonna be nuts, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I listen, I'm not smart enough to tell you whether it's gonna break the game, to be honest with you. I see its potential as a very strong tool in your tool set. I think overall that the Imperial Specialist cards are better than the Rebel ones. Again, like the Imperials get better stuff again. I mean, I get it. Imperials are awesome. But, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I'm sorry. I know we're kind of digressing here a little bit, but I want to do this because it's something that I've been thinking about, and I think I've been very open and honest about this, that I feel like the Imperials have been getting all the best stuff. But I almost wonder, and I don't know. And once again, for everybody listening, I'm not very smart. I'm just going to do the best I can here to tell you what I see. But I almost wonder if it's not so much that Imperials are getting the best stuff, but I almost wonder, are we not, as a community, do we not understand Rebels?
So I'll counterpoint you here.
Okay.
Fence right back at you. So what always seems better, attacking or defending?
Attacking.
What feels better?
Attacking,
right? 100%, right?
Yeah.
So Imperials are made to attack. Like, is there anything that's really a defensive unit? Take the guards out of it. Like for the core stuff that came out, you surge on attack, you don't surge in defense. You get the better die, right. The red die is better than
yes, it is. Yeah.
red die better than a white die that surges. But what red die? It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
Right, and
Well, it's not. I don't even think it's 50-50 at that
For a
point,
red die?
right? If you're not surging.
yeah, right. It's three blocks and one surge and 2 blanks.
Yeah. Okay.
So out the gate, Imperials were made to attack, and then Rebels were made to defend. Right, they got to share once a Rebel trooper gets a dodge token, he's got that forever. Right. So it feels better to attack. Because you're like 5 hits, get out of here, and Rebels have the white die, and then so the Rebels need cover, and so on. Again, this is my complaint about TTS to real life maps is that TTS has great cover, so Rebels do okay in TTS because there's light cover everywhere.
Tabletop simulator.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So you can getting a dodge, getting heavy cover even when you're in light cover because you dodge, and then you're like, keep shooting at me. I'll take a suppression. Now I'm in heavy. Now I've got this, so it's 3 I get to knock out before you hit me. Whereas on tables, it's usually some bunkers or not, right? It's either you're behind a wall, or you're just out in the open getting blasted by. In open terrain, Imperials are better. Period. Yep. They have a DLT just kills guys, right? Two dead Rebels. Are we playing them wrong? Probably. I'll give you that because I honestly don't think they would consciously release a game where one side is just better than the other. Now there can be things oops, we were playing it in they're playing gentleman's games and it
okay.
Didn't work
So
out.
let me counterpoint you there, X-wing guy.
Sure.
It was a known quantity that Alex Davies loved Scum and Villainy, right?
Oh, he
and
sure
so
did.
Scum and Villainy were super good.
They have
in
the most
X-wing,
ships,
right?
yeah.
And the craziest ships, and they have 30 different things that they can do.
Cannot
right?
say no to that.
Okay, so I would argue, just all of us are like this, right? I think growing up, go back to your childhood. Who had the cooler stuff? I always wanted to be the Empire had the coolest stuff. And I think we mentioned this on a couple podcasts ago. Like you said, the Rebels in the air have the cooler stuff. The in the space, but the Empire has cooler stuff on the ground.
Oh yeah,
right. So there seems like a lean here, but then I'm also wondering, okay, so there's clearly synergies and a game plan with Rebels, with Nimble, with Dodge. There's a lot of Dodge stuff going on there that I don't necessarily see people using enough when they play them. But arguably, no, not even. You know what? Not even arguably. Rebels have the best unit.
Oh, Luke, yeah, 100%.
In the game.
Period. To me, as much as I love Vader, when Vader gets something, he gets that one hit that wipes out a squad of troopers. Cool, but Luke is just faster. The jump is I'm over this train. See you later. He's got the lightsaber with impact. He's got the gun, which I didn't even realize he had because everyone just hits me with a baseball bat, right? He's got the DL-44 like Han has, 2 Pierce 2 red die. Surge to crits. Every time I see a Rebel group aim, I think you're doing it wrong. When a Rebel group, instead of dodge, because if I was Rebels, you've got the better. So the trade-off, right, is Imperials have the better defense die, but Rebels generally have better attack die. Right, get rid of the special DLs and the Z6. Z6 is a variance monster. Sometimes it feels like the most unfair gun in the game. Other times you why did I bring it? Right, it goes either way. But if you took core group to core group, a 4-man thing of Rebels versus a 4-man thing of Imperials, I would rather have the Rebels. They're cheaper. They have a better attack die, and they keep a dodge forever. Where you feel like you're actually getting some hits in. They don't surge on attack, but with the route, as a guy who's played 5 just naked 4-man groups of stormtroopers, that feels real bad. Even with a reroll, you're like, 1, you're behind a wall, forget it. It's the DL. The reason why stormtroopers are good is the DLT-19. That's the only reason I think they're good.
Yeah, and their defense die.
I'm a little so it's 2 out of 6 to 3 out of 6 because the Rebels surge and the Empire doesn't. And honestly, I've seen those red die just go all over the place, so I'm like,
yeah, that's fair.
Statistically it should be better, but I've seen Rebels roll 4 dodges and I'm like, those cheaters. And I've rolled 4 blanks and I just blew the squad.
Well, and I've just been thinking about this more and more, and I've seen kind of from a army build, right, and from a unit build, I've seen the Rebel players try to build similarly to how we're building Empire. So let's take a core unit, okay? So we minimize we just use the naked core unit and we add a DLT and we move on, right? And I've seen Rebels do the same thing with the Z6. Like I have the naked unit with a Z6 and they move on.
Yep.
I'm wondering if maybe you need to add that extra man in there, if you need to add some of the extra gear and stuff.
I would rather, again, I'm not a huge Rebel player. I've always I decided this was the one game I was just going to buy one side to because I buy two sides for everything and then I'm broke. So I said, well, Empire only. But when I look at the stats, I'd rather just have the extra guy than the Z6. Even though Z6 does throw more dice and you get that huge boost of dice, so many times I've seen it like 1, 2 from it. And whereas an extra guy with a black die, I don't know. Again, like statistically, you can tell me I'm wrong and you'd be right. I'm not gonna.
Oh no, yeah.
I'm not gonna say.
Speaking, yes.
I just for the feels bad man, I'd rather have the extra guy. And I actually even think the grenade launcher is not bad because you can. So right, you get a guy up there. There's 2 red dice. Ion, sure, maybe vehicles will be a thing. 2 red dice, shoot, and then your next turn you ready and then you dodge, or you have Leia hand out a dodge and they can shoot or ready then shoot. Like I really think that the dodge is the key for them, and I just see so many people play them like Imperial, where they move up in front of me and then aim and shoot, and then I survive. And I'm like, well, okay. And then I aim and shoot back and they remove their guys and they're really frustrated. And I'm like, man, like I don't know what to tell you. Like
you're right. And I don't know, I've played against Chewbacca and I've played against Wookiees. I haven't played them yet. I don't play enough Rebels, and that's my New Year's resolution is to play Rebels this year. But so anyway, so that's just kind of my thoughts on that. And then we can get back into the Imperial Specialists.
No, but it's a good thing to think about. Like next time you play Rebels or you do it yourself, just think about like what they're built to do and how you're playing them.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay. So the 1 pip is covert observation. Look at up to 2 random command cards from an opponent's hand. I don't know the purpose of this.
So I like it. It's information. And it's level 1 information.
Yeah.
But it's the big thing is it's 1 special forces or operative unit, and the only way you can issue orders to operative is through their operative only cards generally. So this is another way to give Boba Fett a 1 pip.
Oh yeah, okay, good call.
So and then special forces is I guess you can get your snipers at 1 pip when they need it, but why wouldn't you just run ambush? But the biggest thing, so you can play this on turn 1, and Boba Fett. Right, and then both of them look at a couple cards in their hand.
Yep.
And so maybe they're running. When I was running 3 leaders, I had a little bit of everything, so you had no idea what I had in my hand.
Right.
Right, and so this gives you you look and see if they're running Veers, they probably have maximum firepower. But if you're looking like Vader, you might only have Master of Evil in there. And so if you see that, you're like, okay, well he's dying before he gets to me, right? Like, so I think it's just like the Rebel 1 pip I believe is better to cut down the number of things they can activate with their card.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing for me is you get to look at some cards and you get another operative.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So then we've got the astromech droid, the R4. It's a non-combatant, which means similar to your unit leader, it can't be killed until right before your unit leader, basically. And it doesn't shoot anything. So then for free action, it repairs 1. Capacity 2, so this is for vehicles. So you throw this on a stormtrooper unit, have it run near your ATST, or I guess is it just ATST, or it says vehicles, so I guess it would be the bikes too.
Yeah, they're a repulsor vehicle.
Yeah, so you would run them next to there during the same turn as it was wounded. You can pull a wound off. You can pull a.
Is it the same turn?
Yeah, I think all of these are in the same.
Place a wound token on this card, remove 1
ion or a vehicle damage token.
From the ground at range 1 line of sight, limit 2 tokens.
Well, because the way the medical droid works, it's the same. It's the same.
Is that in the expanded
turn.
rules?
Yeah.
It doesn't say on the card.
It doesn't say it on the card. It's in the expanded rules. So you place. So moving on, the FX9 medical droid for 19 points. For free. You treat 1 for capacity 2. You place a wound token on this card to remove 1 wound token or restore 1 mini to a friendly non-emplacement trooper unit at range 1 and in line of sight. Limit 2 tokens. So
good on Vader.
Yeah. So there's a lot of health, healing, a lot of both vehicles and units.
Good on Palpatine.
Yeah.
Good on anything that you Because normally when
Snow
you're shooting
troopers.
normally when you're shooting at Vader, you're counting down the hits. You're like, all right, only got to do 4 more, and now it's like, oh, now you got to do 6 more.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's good. And then it came with another recon intel. And then it has the Imperial Officer upgrade. So this goes in your personnel slot on any of your units. So for this, 20 points. Your courage is increased by 1. You gain Inspire 1. So after your rally step, you remove a suppression token from a friendly unit 1 to 2, and then the Imperial Officer becomes your leader of that unit. That's really good. I've seen that used as far as the Inspire, like, and then you're increasing your courage by 1 as well. So now you're not panicking. Like that's really solid.
So is this replacing like the extra stormtrooper you had at, or is this replacing your heavy weapon?
The extra stormtrooper unit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you have this and a DLC.
Yeah. Or a flamethrower.
Oh, okay. That's pretty okay.
Right.
That's pretty all right.
Yeah, that's really good. And then the Imperial Officer can either be in a unit or it can be a commander. So for 50 points, it's got the command token icon, and it's got the gear icon. It's got spotter 1, so you can give a aim token to a unit at range 1. It's got inspire 1 and sharpshooter 1. Rolls white dice on defense. 4 health, 2 courage, surges both attack and defense. And then the gun blaster is 1 to 2 range, black and a white, and then unarmed is a 1 black. Interesting. I like it for its point value. I like
50
that
points.
Yeah,
right,
and then what we were talking about with the coordinated fire, it can still kind of trigger some of that a little bit. You wouldn't get as much as you would off of Veers, but you can still trigger it a little bit.
You can still get the ball rolling, right? But I mean, like, if you're looking, so my dream of making that generic army with nobody's, like, Band of Brothers style, you can do it like I was just messing around. You can put that in there, and you can do a lot. Because I only ran Veers because he was the cheapest, but now I'll be running that, and you can just fit the extra 50 points, really, or 40 points, I should say, frees up just so much stuff.
Yeah, so really what you're giving, so for those of you, thinking about this, you're giving up an extra spotter, because Veers has spotter 2. You're giving up maximum firepower.
Which is the real loser,
right, and I think that's alone worth 20 points.
It sure is.
But, at the same time, maybe it doesn't work out for you for that turn, or maybe, there might be other stuff there that, you feel like I think the general commander, the Imperial Officer is a very good, not very good, adequate commander.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you have other things to fill in, like Boba Fett or the ATST and so forth.
Because I was thinking about it, because you could take the Imperial commander and then you could add an Imperial officer just in one of the groups.
Yeah.
And you've got a backup. Or even if you lose, you do Veers and you take an Imperial officer just as an add-on. You got a backup in case they ice him.
Yeah.
So you can still have a command range. You still have the people run 4 instead of 2. Like, for the extra 20 points is reinsurance that if they just get you get real lousy rolls in your defense, or they just go for them real hard, you're not like out of luck, right? You're not like hoping Boba Fett like leads the army.
Right. Yeah, I think with these out now, and then Jin and Krennic coming out, and then even the tank and the land speeder, I'm really excited. I think by the time the summer comes, we're gonna have a ton of options. That I think it's gonna be too many options at that point. I know that sounds crazy, so hear me out. What I mean is, there's no meta now.
Yeah, right.
And we only have this many units. I imagine all these other units we're going to get. Where's the meta going to be by the time the summer rolls around?
That's what I do prefer this game over X-Wing, is like, even X-Wing, every wave there's like a meta defined almost somewhat immediately. This is just, it's been a year even, and people are still like, I don't know, snowtroopers, I guess, right? Like, it's just still any man's or woman's, any person's game to find like what the new cool thing is to do.
Yeah, because it seems like even though I think Veers Triple Bikes is still a very good list, I think it still competes, right? That's the problem.
Yeah,
is that I think you can build any list, and if you're a decent player and you put your units and your army in positions to make plays or to work to their strengths, that you're going to win.
Yeah.
And I think because the way the game is designed, which is it's just a brilliantly designed game, and the way the structures work and the point system works, I just think it's so evenly matched right now. Because as much as we've talked crap about Rebels here, Wonder Twins is still a real thing and still something that you can lose to.
That's why as much as I have issues with Tabletop Simulator, I like the fact that I can just make a whole unit I don't own, a whole army, and play it before because I've been slowly buying a Rebel army. Like I've got Luke, and I've got like 3 to 4 things of Rebel troopers. Just everyone. If I actually would be going in to buy something Imperial, they wouldn't have them. Like, well, I'm not leaving until I buy something. So I just grab a thing of Rebels and be like, I'll put these together.
Yeah.
And so, maybe in a few months you'll hear me talk about a Rebel list that I think is real good.
Yeah, I think there's lots of good options for Rebels, and I mean honestly, like I said, my New Year's resolution is to play Rebels, but I also I really I want to, because I just want to figure them out and see how they're played. I quite frankly, I believe in I'm gonna get some guff for this. I think Imperial is just easier to play.
Also
period.
True. I mean, I find it like a lot of times I don't think too much. I'm like, get him behind cover, shoot gun. Yeah. Right. Like
I think that the Rebels are more of a thinking man's army, where you have to be very calculated. You have to be very clear on what you're trying to accomplish and what you're doing, and there's very little room for mistake with the Rebels list.
Yeah, if you get like Han out of place for a turn and I'm an Imperial player, he's dead. Right? Like it's even with the Lucky, like that's just, if I see any of the heroes out, like people who run up with Luke, like he's toast. That's why I think everyone was like, oh man, the tank looks so much better than the airspeeder coming out. I'm like, no way. You put Luke in that airspeeder, you drive him up, drop him off, he's a taxi. It's a 70-point taxi to get Luke to the front. Like, okay, that's great.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of stuff, and so I definitely, I mean, listen, Orchimedes, Kyle from the other podcast from Notorious Scoundrels, he's a Rebel player and he's really, really good at it. And so, he's the type of player that is good with Rebels. I think he's very calculating. He understands the numbers. He understands situations. He just has a mind for that type of stuff. And so he's going to be really good with the Rebels, as he is already. Not he's going to be, but he's already very good with the Rebels. And I think that's the type of player we need to see. If you want to put Rebels back on the map, the High Command and Worlds needs at least half of them need to be Rebel players who are very good.
I would love to see the top tables be 50-50.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that'd be the dream. I think it's probably going to be more Imperial heavy, but, deep down in my heart of hearts, I'd love it to be like 2 Rebels and 2 Imps make the top.
Yeah, I got a real solid feeling that LVO is going to be very heavy Imperial.
Yeah, I mean, they're just solid. Like, I have more respect for Wookiees after compared to Imperial Guard. After Wookiees getting light cover, I'm like, forget it. Like they're on objective. I'm like, yeah, that's just theirs now. I'm not gonna be able to get them out of that. It's all like Rebels just need terrain on the table, and if they don't have terrain, they really suffer. So when you go to events and there's no terrain, you know what? If you're real serious about this game, you bring 2 armies and you take a look at the tables, and the tables are pretty sparse. You bring Imperial, and if they're pretty well good, like defined, and you want to play Rebel, you can go for it. But I don't think that's like bad at all, because after a Nova last year, it was just like the boards were like real empty. I'm like, oh man, it's tough being a Rebel player right now.
Yeah, it's interesting, and so I guess to talk to that a little bit. So LVO, that is next week. So we're just under a week out. Next Friday, I'm looking forward to it. So for those of you who are listening that are going to be there, I know of at least 5 or 6 people that listen that are going. I'm sure there's plenty more. I get in Thursday afternoon, like 1 o'clock or so. So if you guys want to get together, I know the Outriders, one of the other podcasts, they have a store in Vegas, and I know that they're all going to be there with the tables set up. So
that's cool.
Yeah, if you want to get games in, I know some people are going to go there Thursday afternoon, evening, and play. Like I said, I get in around 1 or so I'll be around. If you guys want to grab a beer or go over to the Outrider store and play some games, that'll be interesting. And then, Friday, I'm really looking forward to this. I really like how LJ broke out the day. So it's not too early of a start. It's an 8:30
That's fine.
registration time. They got a lunch break, an hour lunch break, which is huge.
That's so important.
So there's
that's so good.
There's 2 games before lunch, and then there's top 2 games after lunch, and then the top 12 is immediately after that. But you should be able to get in lunch. Bring plenty of water, bring
It's Vegas, so
eat,
be prepared.
Eat well before you go, and then I think it's gonna be a blast. I'm really excited about it.
I am extremely sad that I can't go.
And I would encourage you. So I'm, from my perspective, if you listen to Fifth Trooper, if you're going to be there, we got a bunch of tchotchkes. I'm going to be handing out like wristbands and pins and
all pretty good stuff,
all kinds of dumb stuff. So come see me, and you'll get some tchotchkes, some Fifth Trooper tchotchkes. So
they're excellent.
What's that from The Office? Swag.
The swag.
Stuff we all get. So yeah, I'll have some swag on me. Come find me and I'll give you something or multiple somethings depending on how nice you are and if I like you.
So bring us stuff too.
Yeah.
Make the tree.
So you better be nice to me. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to think with what else with Vegas. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think next week when we're on Notorious, we'll talk about what we think is going to happen as far as meta and list building. So I'll save that for that. But other than that, like I said, give us an email or shout out on Facebook or Twitter, and we'll let me know where you're going to be and if you want to get together, and maybe we'll have a bunch of people all get together. We'll go get a beer or something. I think that'll be fun.
That's awesome.
Okay, so next thing I'd like to go over is We're Doing It Wrong. We haven't done this in a while, so I think this is going to be a fun little set of topics to go over. So one of the things I learned the hard way is this new Guardian keyword that's on the for me on the Royal Guard.
Yep.
So a Guardian unit cannot guardian another Guardian unit.
So you can't shoot one guy at one end of the table and just guardian that all the way down to the other end?
So what had happened was, and I'm a stupid idiot, and you can go ahead and see this on our YouTube channel. I played War Corgi on TTS. We live streamed it on the YouTube channel. I had 2 Royal Guards, and I think towards the end, I think I only did it once or twice, but I guardianed wounds off of my one set of Royal Guards that had a box and recover the supplies, and onto the other unit. That was a no. I shouldn't have done that. One of our listeners / viewers pointed that out to us, and so there's a classic We're Doing It Wrong. So I totally messed that up.
Fair.
Yeah.
I've got one.
Go ahead.
So I've played this wrong, and then I think a lot of people may not be playing it correctly. Is the recover the supplies. Now, think about that. You can pick up a box as an action because the scenario gives you the action to pick up a box. It does not give you the action to drop it. So you can't drop at free will. That's, when I was playing it wrong, it just didn't seem right. It'd be like, why couldn't the guy just put it down? Right. We're a space age race. We're fighting with lasers. I can't drop a box, but no, you can't.
Right.
One unit can pick up multiple boxes.
Yep.
Didn't know, first start, I didn't read the card, didn't think about it.
So I want you to think about this too. I don't know if you know this or if you were I don't mean to jump all over your line of thought here, but with that comes the fact that if you pick up multiple boxes, you can use them as blocking from other units getting into melee combat with you.
You sure can. You can't get by my box barrier.
Right.
So because even if you use a little cardboard chit, it still exists on the table.
Yes, correct.
It's not like one of those things where some people pick them up and move them. No, they stay right on the table.
Yeah, and so it's got to be in base contact with your unit leader.
Yep.
It has the same rules as any other mini in your unit. It can't be in some random location. It can't be more than 45 degrees. It takes up a spot on the board, like Evan just said. These are all key information.
And if the only unit they can see is your leader, and they shoot and they kill him, the box is dropped. It doesn't just like fly to the guy in the back who becomes the new leader.
Correct. So what happens is, because your unit leader can't die until the end,
Yep.
you take a mini from the other
Guys,
set of the unit.
push 'em,
Yeah, and basically you drop the box and you have to pick it up again.
Yep. So that's just all things that I didn't know the first couple times I played it and were pointed out to me. And the more times I play this, I feel like some other folks don't know it either. Because a lot of it seems like, right, like, well, why can't I just drop the box?
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, well, you're right. You know, we have spaceships, but your guy can't put down a box, sure. But it's just, you pick him up and he's committed to it. So a lot of times when I play Recover Supplies, I just have one unit pick up everything on my side. And it can just be like instead of like moving him around, so he can just run and hide with 2 boxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely did that wrong.
Yeah, and so I guess this isn't we're doing it wrong, but I just like talking about situations that come up. When you're playing in a tournament, one thing that I've noticed is, and this happens often, and actually I was just playing someone and we talked about it, is people, sometimes one of the conditions is a limited visibility.
Yep.
Like, remember that it's limited visibility, because
Yes.
I've forgotten it. Other people have forgotten about it.
I forgotten about it, and maximum firepower into a limited visibility, and he's like, "Hey man, it's limited visibility," and I just, instead of being like, "Oh, well, I'm going to switch," and I'm just like, "My bad. All right, I big dumb me just lost this attack."
And I think for all of you out there, there's going to be several levels of gameplay that you're going to be entering in. There's your home, which anything goes.
Yeah.
There's your local store, which I think most people are going to be cool, even at a local store tournament. You know, most people are going to be like, yeah, go ahead, take that back. I get it. But I can tell you, this is something I've been practicing for myself, is going into LVO. I mean, that's serious prizes on the line.
And I flew from New York. Right? Like, so if you drop it and you're like, oops, I'm like, sorry, dude. Like,
yeah, not my problem.
Better luck next time.
Right. And so it's just something to be aware of. Limited visibility is a very good one that you got to be aware of. Also, one that came up is key positions. So with the new errata, so it just has to be outside of your deployment zone for key positions, and then it has to be outside of one of another objective. So just keep that in mind. The first one has to be in the center.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, that's
the first one has to be in the center, or closest piece of terrain closest to the center. But then the other two just have to be outside of your deployment, and then within one of another one.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
What I've noticed when I play on TTS and other things, if you take that movement template and it hits the table, you're moving. Right? You can do the hover thing. Like, you can hold it up and kind of like eyeball it, but like, if you want to do that, but if you take that movement template and it touches the table with you move, that you are committed to move. There's you can measure range with your range ruler.
Yep.
You can do all sorts of stuff. Like, range ruler is free game anytime you want. But I've played in stores, and I play X-Wing, and we're committed to movements. When you drop a template on the thing and you go, oh, I forgot to do this, I'm like, oh, look, man, you know where you are now. With Legion, when you put that movement template down, yeah, I'm sorry, you got to move. I hate being that stickler, and I'll let people the first couple times. Oh, if they're new, I'll let you do it a lot, because it's hard to get used to I'm like, hey man, like, you got it once you put it down. Like, I'll let you get away with it a couple times just by accident, because it's a habit, right? Like, I want to move, no, because you can measure everything else. But if you're in an event and someone puts that movement template down, touches the table, and they go, I'm not going to charge, and I'd be like, well, too bad. Like, you're moving somewhere. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'd love perfect information too. Like, luckily this game isn't as rude as some old miniature games where, like, War Hordes, where before the last rule set, if you shot guns, like you guys had units, and they were 24 inches, you didn't get to pre-measure. You just say, I'm shooting. And if you were outside the range, you just wasted a shot, right? And like this, you can do, there's so much freedom you have that I find it crazy, like, about how much you can measure. But I'm a real stickler for, like, you move, and you're like, I don't like where that's going to put my ATSD. And I'm like, I like it though, right? Like, it's sorry, man. Like, it's just what it is.
So then some of the others, another one, I know we've gone over this a few times, but there's still been questions. So with cohesion as far as height, so when you deploy, your units can't be on a separate level from your unit leader when you deploy.
Correct.
Now, when you're moving, when you climb or clamber, they can be on a level that he just came from.
Yep.
but they can't be higher or lower than somewhere where he hasn't been.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so this is just for everybody because I know there's some misunderstandings.
And this will
around
come up because I mean, people are more firm with the rules now, but when we were at Nova, it was like Wild West. Like everybody
Right.
had a different interpretation of how things went, and you know, it's hard, right? Because there wasn't like an official guy from FFG there who's like, nope, this is the way I designed it to be. So just like that's a good one, the cohesion, because people used to do the sniper thing where they put one sniper up,
Yeah,
one all the way down,
Yeah.
and then that
it was awesome.
yeah, it was awesome. But me as a
It's a no.
yeah, that's because you kill a sniper and you're like, nope, you didn't. He's
Yeah.
down here now.
And then the other thing in the rule book, you know, you only have to climb or clamber if the terrain that you're going on to is higher than your mini.
Yep. So like barriers, you just jump over.
Right.
It's a rough terrain.
It's rough terrain, so
Um,
your movement speed is reduced by 1.
Any random weird homemade terrain or anything that's not above your miniature. Like even if your head, like your eyeballs, still peek over to their guy, he can just like walk up it. Right. It's not. You can just you can just go right up. But anything other higher than that is a climb.
Yep. Yeah, so that's kind of the we're doing it wrong stuff. One of the things I wanted to recommend, if you are going to LVO or you plan on going to any of these big tournaments, imperialdiscipline.blog actually just did 3 or 4 series of blog posts talking about being prepared for these type of events. They're very good, very good. I highly recommend. They're a good read. For those of you, you know, if it's hard, like I know some of it's stuff we've talked about or Notorious Scoundrels have talked about.
Sure.
But sometimes you listen to something and it just you move on with your life. So if you want to read about that, imperialdiscipline.blog, they got some great stuff up there. I think Kyle Orchimedes from Notorious Scoundrels and Never Tell Me the Odds, he actually wrote some guest posts over on imperialdiscipline.blog too. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, so go check that out. And that's for those of you, that's Kevin Valier. He was on a couple episodes for our 20th episode. He came on and did the podcast with us. Great dude. Great blog. Highly recommend.
Awesome.
And then I think overall, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I think right now, you know, one of the things I wanted to just shoot the proverbial breeze about is lists. I'm in a list crisis again.
There's a lot of good stuff now.
It's a week before LVO. So what happened was, for those of you that know, I've talked about it on here. I've been playing a Pelp list. I really liked it until I didn't.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the new specialist cards. It just, I've run into some scenarios that I hadn't run into before
It's
and
slow.
found it wanting.
Yeah.
And so it had been weighed, it had been measured, and it had been found wanting. And so I am in crisis currently. I don't want to really talk about what list I'm considering bringing to LVO because it's going to probably change, but I don't know, man. I'm lost.
I went back to bike. So for all you double ATSD players out there, and you know who I'm talking to, I was playing at least one ATSD because I just like it, man. I don't care if it's not the best. I think it looked on the board. But for the kicks, I used to run triple bikes at the time because I couldn't afford an ATSD, and I got a bunch of bikes out of splitting kits with people.
Yeah.
And I played it again, and man, can that feel unfair.
Yeah.
You just like you bikes, they shoot 2 red, 2 black, 2 white. They surge, you get a reroll because you're probably free repulsor, aim, shoot, and then you've got 6 groups of DLT stormtroopers, and they're all putting into one guy. Like that immense firepower felt pretty good again.
Yeah.
But with the new, I was looking at I think a naked ATST is okay. I think there's a home for it somewhere in some list.
Yeah.
Because being able to you have Arsenal too, but that means you can kick and shoot. So I think if you get real aggressive with them and just go for it,
Yeah.
he's got 11 health, no one's putting an impact, and you could just be a huge jerk with it.
Yeah.
Bully mode activated.
And so I guess I was bringing this up because I guess I wanted you guys to know that, like, I'm in whatever boat you're in. I'm generally in the same boat. Like,
Yeah.
I'm freaking out, to be quite honest with you. I understand, like, part of me has been subscribing to the Nick Freeman and LJ's like, hey, muscle memory, just play it, just keep playing it.
They've got
Doesn't
great
matter.
advice.
They do. I hate that advice now. I loved it last week, and I'm opening up to you guys. I am mentally breaking down right now. I've literally in the last week on Battle Scribe since the specialists have come out, not just because of the specialists, but just because in general.
He sent me like 8 lists.
Dude, I have 20 in Battle Scribe right now, and I'm like, I'm honestly losing my mind because it's like every list in my head is legitimate. I've been sending lists to like everybody going, what do you think of this? Like, I'm losing it, guys. I'm losing it. I'm with you. For those of you going to LVO, if you're losing it too, I'm with you. Like, this is serious, and I think part of it is honestly here's my thought, and this is going to be a callback to like earlier in the podcast, like episodes like 4 or 5. But I'm between these two places where I'm going to LVO, I'm going to Adepticon. I want to be competitive. I do.
Sure,
I really
yeah.
do. But at the same time, I really don't, because I want to have fun. And I'm already feeling myself being pulled to the dark side, really, of competitive play where I'm just solely focused on winning and what units are going to give me the best option.
You walk the same line I do when I go to X-Wing events. Is I'm like, yeah, I'm just here to have a good time, but then I'm like, oh, what's the best meta list? How do I beat that? And then I play, and then when I'm playing, it's like I'm never mean. Like, don't get me, like, I'm not like a jerk when I'm playing, but I hold people to rules. I'm like, hey man, like, you rerolled that die, or like, I'm really like sticker to it. And then when I lose, I get really down on myself. But I'm like, I came here to have fun, but I really want to win. Yeah. Honestly, the best time I have is when, if I lose out and I'm at like the salt mines, like those bottom tables, man, that's a blast. Like when all the pressure's off and you can just play the game and neither of you are winning anything. So you're like, you talk to the guy, like, do you want to just like get a beer? Like, do you want to just get a beer and we'll just final salvo or something, right? But I feel like that's going to be me with Legion too. I'm going to go in, like, really wanting to win. And as soon as I get that 1 or 2 losses that I need to not make it, then I'm just into like, because I hate creating buys by dropping, especially if I went there to play Legion. But you got to look, you have 2 choices, right? Either you win and you have a good time because you won and you got your intro to Worlds. But if you lose, you have an even better time because you're just down to who cares, right? Like, it's...
Yeah, and unfortunately, unlike some people out in the community, I'm not that good at this game. I'm doing the best that I can here, and I don't know. Like, I was feeling really hot on actually, shout out here to Houston Caldwell. He's a listener of ours. He came up. He sent us a note, said he was going to be in our area and want to play a game.
Super cool guy.
Yeah, really great. Hello. But he had mentioned he wanted to play my Pelp list because I think at that point when he had listened, I was like 9-2 or 9-3.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm friggin', I almost dropped the F-bomb there because I'm so irritated. But I'm like 9-7 now, or 8. Yeah. And I think that makes more sense. It's a 50. I think it's more with this game. It's a 50-50 thing, and I'm just sharing this with you out there in podcast world. I understand it wasn't the best list, but I was having so much success with it that it started to cloud my judgment on the list a little bit, and then I started to face off against tougher opponents. A, but then B, also different lists that I've never seen before, and opponents who have different views of the game that I've never seen before. Yeah. And so it's just really changed my thoughts on that list, and it showed me where I was lacking in that list, where I hadn't been exposed, the weaknesses hadn't been exposed, and so it gave me a crisis of faith, I think, in my God and Savior, Lord Palpatine. So
go for Palpatine.
Yeah. So I honestly, guys, I'll give you an update probably next week going into LVO when I've landed on a list. I'm struggling. And I'm sure there's people out there that are in the same boat as me that go into a tournament with a solid list and then something happens and they just start questioning it. I don't know, man.
It's a dice game.
Yeah.
Like, just keep that in mind. Like, with Veer's bikes, I feel like I'm playing an unfair list because of the amount of dice I get to throw. But I've had bikes roll up 2 hits, with an aim because I just couldn't get anything to happen, and then they just get like one shot, and I'm like, well, that's 100 points. That's the worst part's when you memorize how many points everything is, because you're like, that's 100 points, and that's 100 points, and that's 100 points, as all your bikes blow up. Like,
yeah.
Like I went back to it, and that's more my play style. but I really love the ATST. So even though it's like, thank God I didn't buy Rebels because I'd still be flying a T-47. I know they're like the strategic, they're like arguably the worst unit in the game.
Yeah.
I would still put one on a table.
I honestly,
it's cool.
So you and I were talking. Evan and I were talking. Evan loves the ATST, right?
Yeah.
And I honestly have for a whole day. I'll tell you this list because I'm not actually going to play it. So for a whole entire day, I was going to play Veers with a Steam Leader, Snow Trooper, Flame Trooper, Frag Grenade, Imperial Officer, Stormtrooper, Comms Relay, DLT, Imperial Comms Technician, Stormtrooper, DLT, four of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Then an ATST with General Vice and all loaded out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna play this list at LVO. I'm doing it for an entire day. And then the next day I was like, I'm an idiot. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like Weiss is the proper way to play him. Don't play two, play one Weiss.
Yeah.
And then you can just evaporate. Like, I forget the gentleman's name who I played at Nova. Super nice guy. We're playing, and it was like last game, and neither of us were. It didn't matter, right? The game didn't matter. But he moved his Leia up in front of my Weiss, and I removed Leia from the board.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just like Weiss can do that. But again, you don't surge, and when those red dice roll surge, you feel so betrayed.
Yeah.
Like Jakku.
Yeah, and God, they're
A2 red dice. A2.
Everything. It just feels bad. When you put yourself in a position like that to lose something that valuable, but then B, it's like also when you feel like you've done all the planning and the tactical strategy stuff, and then you just get in a position where, like recently, I streamed a game against LJ. He did great. Like let me verify, he thoroughly kicked my butt.
Yeah.
But it had nothing. But towards the end, even he even said, I think he said he like killed a goat and like prayed to the demon gods so that my dice would be blank, because literally towards the end my defense dice were like, we're not gonna show up anymore.
You know, it's nuts. They just had the Arizona system open for X-Wing, and you're watching like the top players play, and you just see like some really unlucky crap, man. Like guy rolls up, range 1-4 blanks, and he's like, good game. Right, they're that high level that if he misses, like that's probably it. But it's a dice game, right? So even like all the best players in this game can just have a game where the dice go bad. Like
I've seen Boba on defense roll nothing but bricks and just be like block.
Yeah.
And then I've seen Boba literally roll all blanks. Same with Vader.
Yep.
I've seen Vader be like, nah, not today, son. And then the next day be like, oh, okay, I'm dead.
It keeps the game exciting. That's why X-Wing, the dice, and the damage deck keep it exciting, right? Because you never know what crit you're going to get. In this, it's the you could roll like, you get those moments where like that one leader who's on that objective and he's just getting hammered by shots. And they're like 5 hits, and you're like, oh gosh, this is it. 5 blocks, he's a war hero, right? So you get those crazy stories. Like I had shout out to real quick everybody I played for the Legion League so far, the tabletop league.
Yeah, all
super great games, super great guys. I don't regret a single minute of the losing I've done. But when I was playing and I walked up and I'm like, I'm losing.
Yeah.
So I walked up and I kicked a Luke to death with an ATST.
Yeah, that was good.
Like that made me feel like I had lost at that point. Like he'd outplayed me.
We are well on our way to last place.
Yes,
for
sir.
Sure. I had my first game of. So we're playing LJ's team, the admins, and basically LJ messaged me and we were laughing because it was like the game for last place, right? I've played my game. I lost.
Oh no!
I thoroughly got destroyed by LJ.
At least it wasn't me this time.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
Yeah.
But he's been playing the same list forever.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed it. It is the list. And it's that muscle memory, that thing,
Yep.
But yeah, so anyways, we're definitely going. 5th Trooper will be in last place.
And a lot of it's like, not all the units are out yet. Like, I'll be playing Krennic and 4 Death Troopers at some point. I don't care how bad it is. It's just cool. Like, I want that scene in the movie where the Upsilon, I think it's an Upsilon he had. Upsilon lands and he's walking toward the Ursos.
Yeah.
Where, with all the Death Troopers and Krennic, and I can be like, farming for you, such an intelligent man. I'll start just quoting the whole movie at people. Like, I don't care. I think that's hilarious and awesome. But we again, like if you're playing the game and you're feeling like, man, like nothing, I just don't grab it yet. There's 2 more factions coming out, which is going to give you 2 more rounds of upgrade cards. They're going to be universal. We might be done with units for these 2 yet, because we're going to kind of get into the point of the year where the new stuff's probably gonna be announced soon. At least like a teaser, like a picture of it. Like sometimes the FFG just does like a picture and they don't give any update cards. They show some new units and they're like, well, what's coming? So we might get that soon.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're getting 2 new vehicles.
Except for when they just don't give you that. And the unit's literally in your hand and you're looking through the cards and they still haven't
done the article for it. Yeah, I don't know. That's it's funny because when I was doing a roundtable with Alex Davey for X-Wing, and he only like 12 people showed up for it. It was like a last minute thing. Gold Squadron was hosting it, and we're asking him like also anything, like because they hadn't announced the new factions yet. So we're like, what's Darth Maul's ship do? Can it cloak? He's like, well, I can't tell you a lot because the marketing team you're under like an MDA with them.
Yeah.
Because they have certain articles released at a certain time for a certain thing. So like somebody must drop the ball. Like that ball just got kicked right out the window.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is your answer. I think the problem is realistically you're serving many masters with this game. You got FFG, you've got Disney, you've got Lucasfilms. There's just so much stuff going on. It's got to be difficult to get it all right and to get it all out at the same time. And a lot of people want to blame Alex or Luke.
It's not fair.
Eddie, but they have nothing to do with it, man. They just made the game. They talk to you about the game and they work on the friggin' rules. Like, leave them alone.
This game has been in development for like 2 years.
Like, FFG has a whole marketing squad. They have to work with Disney. They got a lot of stuff they got to worry about. Like, I get it. And I'm frustrated too that the article was not out, but I had them in my hand, and this day, it still hasn't been released. Yeah. It's going to happen from time to time. Deal with it.
Any article they put out has to go through Disney.
Yeah.
For
anything they put out has to go through Disney.
So even models. So it's when they release a model, like these are going to be the rules for the model. It has to go through the Disney PR team because now they own Disney keeps a tight grip on the mouse likes his Star Wars. So that was the thing with this and X-Wing. Like if it released something, it has to does this ability feel like this character? Right. And that's, for Legion, like everybody feels pretty good, right? Vader feels like Vader, Han feels like Han. But that all goes through that. Yeah. And I'm not disparaging or saying this in a negative way at all.
Business, it's just business. Yeah. That's what it is. I think that's what a lot of us forget sometimes is even though this is a game and it's plenty fun, man, FFG is a business.
It's a corporation.
Yeah, sure. And they have a higher master than we do. You know what I mean? It just keeps going up the chain. So I understand you're frustrated. I'm frustrated too. But let's give them a little slack. And they're putting out a beautiful, magnificent game. And I know they absolutely do things wrong.
Yeah, man.
But articles, is that really the hill you want to die on?
If this makes you feel any better, they released
key positions was the hill you wanted to die on,
true.
Right? And we got that one. So
they released the new Jedi Star, for the new X-Wing ships, the Jedi X-Wing article in Polish, but not in English.
Right.
So it's there, but all the cards are in Polish. So you can Google Translate it, but not only did we not get the article, but it's in the Polish got it first. I guess it's all right. But you got the cards. If you're gonna buy it, you're gonna buy it already, right?
It'll be fine. Everybody, here's my parting take on this in this episode of our podcast. Just relax.
Yeah,
everybody,
it's
just
plastic toys, man.
Freaking relax.
It's all plastic toys.
It'll be okay.
I've got a couple shout outs.
Oh boy.
To do one to
this isn't approved.
Sorry, my boy Hudson.
Houston, man.
Hudson. Whoops. What? Sorry, Houston. Thanks for coming out and playing a game with me.
The worst.
I try to be the worst.
You were. God.
We had a great game, and it was cool that you actually came out and shook my. I get no one knows who
Respect?
I am. Yeah, well, not even that. I just it's cool. I don't mind, but it was cool to actually was excited to meet me for this, for Legion. So it was just really cool. I
actually paid him to be excited to meet you. I wanted you to have that.
Oh no.
I said, hey, there's a $10 in it if you act real excited for
it. 10 quid if you shake his hand. But that was really cool, and he was a super cool guy. We had a great game. One more to my friend Howie, who listens every week, has never played a game of Legion, has no idea about the game, but he'll come up to me and use buzzwords. He's like, hey, heard the latest cast, so those red dice, they really get into you. I'm like, oh, yeah, defense dice. Like, yeah, and Luke's the best unit in the game. And I'm like, yeah, arguably, his gun's really good. Yeah, that gun he's got. Right, he'll come up and use a lot of the buzzwords we're using, but he has no idea what they mean. So I just
Howie,
really appreciate that.
Don't let Evan get down on you, man. You be you. You be you, player. You play. You do whatever you want. You like listening? I don't care.
You said he would be the first to buy a T-shirt, so
yeah, dude. Hey, Howie, I love you. No matter what Evan says about you, I love you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that wraps it up for this week. We will catch you next week, and LVO week, I will try to update through, I don't know, Twitter or some nonsense what's happening in LVO. I'm going to take lots of pictures, videos, so I will share those after we get back.
Excellent.
All right. Be cool, everybody.
Stay rad.
Join us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
This has been a Fifth Trooper production.